Gonna do a little tap 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 tap. This is so Doug can sync up the audio. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yes, that was crazy. That was a good one.
Elliott Banks. Welcome to the Dead Sailor podcast.
Yes. Cue the music.
No, the music already happened.
Yeah, I know.
The music's at the end. Elliott, thank you for joining.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're visiting from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's where. Were you born there?
Yeah, born and raised in Northern Virginia, Fairfax specifically. It's a great place to be, honestly. It's right outside D.C. They call it the DMV, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. But it's a really good area. It's a great place to raise a family. It's a huge skate hub essentially because of DC, but you're also close to Philly, New York, all that good stuff. So, but yeah, DC's pretty cool. Virginia, all that.
Nice.
Just the riding is a little bit tamed.
Yeah.
Compared to here.
Yeah. What is the closest mountain that you ride?
Bryce.
Okay.
Yeah, those are so I'm sponsored by them. But yeah, Bryce is the.
Is that a
closest mountain.
bike park?
Yes, Bryce Mountain. Couldn't get it out for a second. But yeah, they're just typical winter time. They do the snow thing. Mm-hmm. They have the sledding, and then the bike park. So,
what kind of elevation do they have there?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah. I really don't.
Is it a decent descent?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Yeah, it's got decent elevation there. It's not bad. I mean, because you have the Massanutten mountains out there, and the Washington National Forest, all that stuff. You get some very similar sized mountains way out there, so it's probably 2 hours from me.
Oh, okay.
But it's a nice little drive. That's Whistler distance. So
yeah, sick.
But yeah. Everything else around is just kind of tamed XC, not the trail riding is actually really good. But we have one spot that a lot of people like to go to, especially Fountainhead, but it's a lot of climbing and not so much, it's not even the downs don't really, you're not getting anything from the ups. So.
Yeah. As opposed to here, you're doing a lot of climbing, and then you're just descending.
Yes, just plowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, even that day, we went on the ride. Mm-hmm. That I was in pretty decent shape before that, that time. But, yeah, that climb was pretty taxing after we got a little more than halfway up. So, and we did it again, which wasn't too bad. But, yeah, I'm not used to those for sure. Yeah. There's one spot we ride the Shed in Maryland, and a lot of people, instead of shuttling, they'll just pedal. Corey, who you met, that's the first person I saw. We were shuttling, and he was pedaling laps. So every 3 laps he did a lap. And I think he did 6 for real. He's a monster. He did it. He does it on his gravel bike, his mountain bike. He's crazy.
Yeah, when he visited and we rode Lookout Mountain here, he seemed totally fine. He wasn't gassed at all. He just chilling on the way up.
There's not. Yeah, he's one person climbing. It'd be hard to gas him.
Yeah,
for real. It would take somebody out here that really could climb.
Yeah, and he was he was on his way up to Whistler to race the EWS.
Yeah.
Which was
he's a bad man, and he did it with COVID. He didn't even know.
He had COVID.
He had
man.
It came out.
I think I saw him a couple days before that.
He didn't. Well, I don't think so. When he was here, he was okay. When he got to Whistler, it was that. That's when it started hitting him. So I don't think he even practiced the one. I think he did one or 2 stages or something, and then he was just death.
Oh man.
And then but I don't think he even tested until either he got home or I don't think before the flight, because he the group chat. He had the group chat like, oh, we'll come to find out. And I think it was like either the day after he got home. So, but yeah, he found.
So he could have probably got it in.
He could have, yeah, and it might have been like, as soon as he got there on the, whatever. But yeah, it was still pretty wild.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you are in town visiting for just a couple days.
Yep. Yeah, I got here Tuesday.
You're considering moving to Bellingham.
Very much so.
It's kind of amazing, actually. Honestly, everyone that I end up putting on the team ends up trying to move here, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Blake just moved in. I actually helped her unload her box truck like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And she's just getting settled in. Yeah. But so tell what's the motivating factor? Is it the riding, or what is bringing you to Bellingham?
Well, so I mean, you're aware that I came here the first time for the Specialized shoot. Yeah. And even from the minute once I was like in the little plane coming to Bellingham from Seattle, I'm like looking over and I'm like seeing all these trails, and I'm like, I was like, there's no way there's that many mountain bike trails just like visible. But obviously getting here, hanging out with everybody, meeting you, meeting Paris, and like everybody, like AC was kind of like taking us on the like, shaking hands and kissing baby tour. Yeah. Which was sick because we got to meet like the Free Hub people, some Fanatic people, just a bunch of random cool cats. So, but then just like the first day of the shoot, it's just like we're at the top of, I don't know if it was like or something like that.
We don't tell. Hold on. I don't think many people know about that.
Okay. We're gonna X that one out. So
you were at top of an unnamed trail.
Our tour guide Smokey.
You can't say that name. No, I'm just kidding.
Everything is okay. Everything's a secret, but I get it. Yeah. But so yeah.
You were riding some amazing.
We were
deep, unnamed trails.
We were down yonder, and I mean, it was just like I just felt like I threw myself to the wolves. There was a few like there was probably one or two things that I like said no to. Yeah. But once again, like still very new to like the mountain biking thing. That was the first time I had ridden a bike that wasn't mine, a 29er at that. And it was just like so foreign. Yeah. So I felt out of my element, but I made it work as best as I could.
You know what? A fun fact about Elliott visiting and going like for the Specialized shoot, they provided you a bike it was for product video and photography and stuff. And I know this one. And he hits me up and he's like, "Yo, dude, I went and bought some pedals from Fanatic, some occults." And I was like, "Dude, you ride for like, I'll give you pedals. You're an athlete." And you're like, "No, man, I just wanted to I didn't want to bug you. I just wanted to support the brand." And like, I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Damn, dude, that is so cool."
Yeah. So luckily though, because it was essentially Specialized's fault, so that AC was like, get whatever pedals you want, and I was like, no brainer. Yeah. So I didn't.
He also got a set of Tenet pedals on that trip too. I guess.
Think I sold him.
Oh really?
Yeah, because and I hate to say it like that, but because probably not. He knows Paris. I'm just trying to feel special. But because Paris rolls up, obviously AC and Paris are boys, and Paris, I guess, was like, "Oh yeah, Tyler told me about you, blah blah blah," and I was like, "Oh yeah," like, so I'm like stoked, and then he saw the pedals and whatnot, but who knows? He probably wasn't paying attention at all. So yeah, but I sold him.
I'm trying to get Alan on like more sets of I want them on all his bikes.
AC just because is a rad dude.
I mean, I grew up. As many have known, I talk about this every time on the podcast, but I grew up riding BMX, as did yourself.
Yes. High five on that one. Be the first one to give you some props on that because I'm the same way.
But I looked up to Alan Cook a lot. I had his posters on my wall. I had I hope one day I can get Alan on this podcast. I think that would be
think
so fun.
He's a busy dude.
He is a busy dude, but he does come to Bellingham often. He does. So,
and it's funny because when my mom was like, where do you want to stay? And I was like, because I stayed in the Airbnb. My Airbnb was pretty rad. She was like, I'm not doing that with you. So I was like, we should just stay at the Four Seasons. It's AC's favorite.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just like pulling out the random, like we stay here. Like I stayed there. It was super nice. So obviously that's where I stayed the first time with them. So it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So
whatever. Yeah. Nice. Well, you've been house hunting.
Yeah.
You've been looking for work out here too this trip?
Yeah. Or? So that's really what kind of, I hope nobody from work sees this, but yeah, so I was just kind of like applying, out here just, see what it was like, the market. Yeah. And I actually applied for another dealer, and he called me and was like, oh, you have experience with this brand? Like, we have that brand.
And that brand is GM, right?
Correct, yes. Yeah. So GM.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, sweet. Like, I got 4 years, but I've been in the industry pretty much my whole life. Like, washed cars in high school, was a porter. I worked on cars, but not as a mechanic at a dealership or whatnot. But sold cars, been a service advisor, and now I'm parts. So, but yeah, like the vibe doing that wholesale parts is a lot better than like, selling people cars. Even though that's relatively easy, it's just like the commission.
Yeah.
So cars sell themselves. I'm here to be your friend.
Especially a GM. A GM is like, you're going to buy a GM because you are like a GM person. Just like a Ford or any other sort of vehicle,
It's diehard.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially out there too. I mean, we get so many politicians. Mm-hmm. I had one dude, me and my buddy used to read these body language books when we were in sales. And I watched a guy like walk in, and I had the front desk, and I'm just kind of watching him and just reading him. But then I noticed his shoes and his belt. So it's like, a symbol. So I like walk up, conversate with him. And he was like born into being like a politician essentially. Or I'm sorry, not politician, but a lobbyist. Mm. And essentially he walked up and was like put down or like threw his Starbucks coffee away and was like, I want to see this truck in this color, in this color. And I was like, okay. Pulled him up. He was like, brown. And then wrote a check. That was it. And I was like, thank you, sir. And that was it. Yeah. We used to get like some fast ones.
That's my dream.
Dude.
Just to know exactly what you want and walk into a dealership and just pay cash.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Like there's I've already dreamed about it. Yeah. Test driven one. Just pay cash, yeah.
So what's the GM dealership is like right down here?
Yeah, it's in town.
Yeah.
Excuse me for not remembering. It's like north something. It's right up here on 5, like literally 2 miles. Right.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about. Yep, right off the highway there.
Correct.
Yeah. So did you go in there and chat with those guys?
Yep.
Is it similar to like the other industries where you could like transfer or anything like that, or do you have to like actually like reapply? Or anything?
Absolutely. Because everything, it's kind of like franchises. So like you buy into GM franchise, and then everybody's separate. So you can have like whatever Browns, Mazda, and it'd just be a bunch of Browns dealer. Then I could transfer within the company if they had somewhere where somebody was looking. Mm-hmm. So I just sent the resume out to them, talked some business, and it's looking pretty promising.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. So how about the house hunt? So the housing market in Bellingham was super crazy during COVID.
Correct.
It seems to be slowing down a little bit. Mm-hmm. At least they're staying on the market a little bit longer, and it's not full cash offers.
Yeah.
Like no contingent on nothing. It's
right.
Just like,
The weird thing is that, so I noticed out here people like living together. Mm-hmm. So it's like a lot of like houses split into 2. Mm-hmm. So, if you're looking, majority of the houses you think are like by themselves, it's like split level. Mm-hmm. So seeing that, like I'm learning.
Like you would buy someone's other half of their house,
or rent or whatever. You know what I mean? Like because they have them up and they're like the whole house, but then they're saying like 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. You're like, this is a house.
Yeah.
And then I found out there that majority of houses out there are like split level somehow. So, I mean, they're super nice. Really, it's kind of strange because like we went, I think it was like not off Euclid. There's another house like kind of by Evil. And it's just like there's like either a lot of rooms and it's like college town kind of houses.
Yeah, I mean that side of town is it's right next to the campus.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also mixed in as it's like one of the nicest, like some of the most expensive houses because there's views of like
exactly
the bay and
right.
stuff.
Yeah. So and we've like passed through Chuck Nut. I took my mom to go see like the views over there. Like I was just driving around and I was like, oh, I got to bring her over here,
Yeah.
So as we were driving around, we're just like looking around at places, kind of getting a feel for the area. But yeah, like I just noticed like the square footage is like when you like the two things, I look at the house, the price, and obviously like how many rooms, and then that's when you can see because it's like the square footage. Sometimes it's just not clear in their description, like what they're trying. You know what I mean? Like because it looks like a whole house, and you're like, wow, that's crazy cheap, and then you're like, oh wait, fine print, it's split level. So, but it's not too bad. Like I would say like my big thing is like a lot of like I thought I saw Paris. I don't know if it was him or not. I guess I didn't make it clear. But
was he driving around in a Bronco?
So it was like, yeah. Well, yes, it was. It was a nice looking one, but it had a snowmobile on it.
Yeah,
so I don't.
Was it gray or like tan or gray or something?
It was kind of, and it had like the stripes, like his kind of.
Okay,
but
yeah,
he had gold wheels.
It was probably Paris.
Okay,
yeah.
So. But I was like, yeah, we were staring at you in the intersection because I was like,
Paris, comment in this video description if that was you or not.
I think I messaged him and he was like, yeah, hit me up. I got some rooms if you're looking. So that type of stuff. So essentially, I'm not really looking to room with anyone.
You just want to get your own spot.
Yeah, I'm 36, man.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I know, but I mean, I'm I know a lot of people that are around our age. I'm 35. I have lots of friends who bought houses, and I mean, houses are expensive, and they're just like renting out rooms to keep their mortgage as low as possible.
Sure.
But
don't get me wrong. Like living with a homie that like you live here.
Yeah.
So like, and I have a couple like Colin who he lives out here. He was saying the same thing, but I think it's going to be like 4 or 5 people in there. So it's like. Yeah. I'm pretty OCD. I'm very clean, like strange clean, and like I just I like my stuff like how I like it.
No, I hear you.
Don't put my milk like that, bro.
See, I deal with that too.
I can't.
So I'm not OCD or super clean, but my partner is, and she is very much like. Can you please?
Yeah.
Why don't you put the dishes in the fucking dishwasher? You put them in the sink, and I'm like, they gotta soak, and she's like, no.
And it's funny. It's like, what do you mean soak? Like plates don't have pores. Like,
you're speaking to her language right now. There's two different types of people in this world. There are people who soak their dishes, and there are people who don't soak their dishes.
There's soakers, and then there's dishwashers.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yes,
like. I wash the dishes. Some people do the dishes in their dishwasher. It's all good.
Yeah. I do a hybrid. So what I do is I put them in the sink, let them soak for a minute. and then I move them, I rinse them off under the thing, and then I put them in the dishwasher.
I do that.
Which is funny because they're fairly clean.
Right.
They're like almost clean,
exactly.
Right? So it's kind of an extra. The dishwasher is sort of like an extra step. And Lou's dad is hilarious because he's like, "Why do you guys have the dishwasher if you rinse them off before you put them in the dishwasher?"
Yeah.
He's like, he just cleans them and puts them away.
I do that.
Which he lives by himself, and if you live alone, I understand because you're only using like a couple of dishes, and there's no point in piling dishes up. You can just, wash them real quick, put them away. But anyways,
I'm with you. I would do that, or sometimes I'll. Just put them in the dishwasher and come back and clean them. Yeah. A lot of the times I'll do the dishes. I want to eat and then sit for like 20 minutes and then I'll come back and do the dishes because in my head I'm like, I need to go clean.
Yeah.
I have to clean.
Yeah.
I'm just weird like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Lou is very meticulous about everything, kind of has its spot.
It does.
And it's like, she'll be like, the house is filthy. And I'm like looking around like, the house is not dirty. I've seen way worse. And she's like, no, we got to clean. I'm like, all right. Yeah. But okay, so let's that we kind of like jumped way ahead in the timeline, but it's all good. There's no structure to this podcast. We just kind of do whatever is right. But I do want to know, like, let's go back to where you came from, Virginia, grew up there.
Yes.
How did you discover mountain biking?
Or
not mountain biking. So let's even go back. How'd you discover bike riding?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think my mom actually just told this story to Elliott last night, but there's another Elliott in town, Elliott Carter. So there will be Elliott and Elliott here one day. But I think my aunt bought me my first bike, and she sent it with training wheels. It was like the Ninja Turtle get up.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but take the training wheels off. Mm-hmm. And she was like, no. And I was like, I don't want it. Yeah. And then she took them off, and I just was gone. So after that,
so you just balanced right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, from what she tells me, she was just like kind of gave me a little nudge, and then see you later.
I mean, some people just get it,
I guess. Yeah. So, but from there it was just like neighborhood stuff, like you hang out with the home. First, it was a Magna mountain bike.
I didn't have a mountain bike, but I had a Magna. 20-inch Magna that used to have like a motocross kit on it or something.
Yes.
It had like fake fenders and stuff.
Did it have like the 300 spokes?
No.
Oh, you remember those?
Yeah,
I wanted one. I was like, that wheel's got to be indestructible. You probably could like kick that thing in half. But so yeah, it was like, I think my parents got me a mountain bike later. I destroyed it. We used to have this hill behind our house before it was like crazy developed. We used to just bomb this dirt hill, and soon they paved it. Once they paved it, they made some building. It was like, I forget what it was, but we would bomb this hill, and then there'd be like a median at the bottom of the hill. And my friend, I remember like he couldn't make the turn, and like kind of like bermed it for a second, and just like flipped over, like road rash his whole back. Like it was,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like I was like, Brian, like so. The neighborhood bike scene was pretty sick. Yeah. We got beat up. We learned some lessons. And then I got my first BMX bike, was a Trek. And then
what year was that? Do you know? Or how old were you, I guess?
I think probably about 9, 8 or 9.
Nice.
Maybe 10. And
had you been like riding your bike like a BMX bike up until that point?
Yeah.
Or were you guys like in the woods building jumps and stuff? Or
not really until I got a 20-inch.
Yeah.
We built wood ramps. We just build like kickers, build them on top of the curb and just go flying, So we did that, and then the neighbors would like back into them on purpose, and you're like, cussing at them. That's when like you're like, you broke my ramp, And then we used to take like the parking signs down and then make like skate like coping. So they hated us.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we would just make like little wood ramps. One of the basketball courts in my neighborhood was like abandoned. It used to be like an old tennis court. So I didn't even know it was there. And then I found it because I was just adventuring through the woods. And I was like, yo, let's build like a underground skate park.
Oh, yeah. The DIY skate park.
Yeah.
Sick.
And then my bus driver who lived in my neighborhood found it, and then her husband destroyed it.
Oh.
Salty.
Party pooper.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, like literally the pavement had like moss on it. Like nobody goes, like, why do you even care?
Yeah.
Like you yell at us because we're in the way.
Yeah.
And we get out of the way, and you still like.
Nah, man, I never understood that mentality.
Right.
Like the person that, I don't know, is like they can't wrap their head around the fact that it's like, look, these kids could be getting to way worse shit, right? But instead they're building ramps and being creative. Yeah. And having fun. Yep. And somebody's got to come and just smash it down. Because it's not the structured whatever shit that they want everyone to do, like basketball or
football
or
core
baseball
sports,
or whatever.
100%.
Yeah. But so any of the people you grew up like kind of discovering biking with, did any of them stick with it, or were you one of the only ones that kind of kept going, or tell me about kind of like the crew that you were hanging out with?
So like growing up, like my core crew, I think a few of my buddies still ride. Like my buddy Tim moved to Arizona. He still like rides around. He actually discovered, remember Rat Boy? Mm-hmm. So I think he's like Skunk BMX on Instagram. I was like, yo, Tim, like you're down there, go check the spot. Yeah. So he's like, he built another 20-inch back up, or like rebuilt it back up.
Oh, sick. That Chandler skate park is so sick.
I know.
I rode there once. Yeah. It was awesome.
It sucks because like now I have zero interest in 20-inch. Mm-hmm. And after destroying my collarbone on a dirt jumper, like I'm kind of salty. So I think I'm going to build a probably like a what do you call them? Slalom
dirt jumper. Okay.
Yeah, like I have the dirt jumper. I'm not like trying not to like. Yeah. I hate it kind of. And I just got it, but probably
you just gotta ease into it.
I was chilling. I was literally riding rollers. It was probably.
Hold on, we'll get to that. Okay. We can talk about that because it involves Brad Sims, which is cool. I want to hear the story.
Okay, so so like my core homies, like a lot of them, some of them still ride here and there. My buddy Dre is kind of like, I don't know if he's like sponsored. I think he's like sponsored Grassroots kind of for profile. Mm-hmm. And obviously Sims. I used to ride with Sims at Vans. Mm-hmm. We had the biggest van skate park in Woodbridge, Virginia. So Sweet. It was probably like a half hour from my house.
That's an indoor.
Yeah, it was the park? Indoor. It was crazy there. So, and then Saunders is his best friend. So I looked up to Saunders, like he was the local hero. Like everybody knew about him. But yeah, like the main homies, I think that's pretty much it. Like,
so going in through the trajectory, you get the BMX bike. Did you gravitate more towards racing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, only
I can kind of tell by your style of riding that you have a lot of racing background.
Yeah. So the story with that is like my aunt was just like annoyed with me one day, and she would take me. So they live in. My mom grew up in Berryville, Virginia, so it's like right outside DC essentially. So it's like an hour and a half. You're right on the border of West Virginia, but so it's country. So my mom would take me and hang out with my grandparents and aunt. And one day she was just like through with me, and she was like
annoying her so much.
Yeah, I was just like messing around. But she was like, I found this thing. I think you can ride your bike on. I'm just gonna drop you off. So she took me there, and I was like, dude, like it was essentially like I could have been the first person on the moon for real. I was like, so it was Winchester BMX. So I stayed there probably 4 hours, like no food, no drink. Midsummer, like, yeah, let's get it.
And it's a racetrack. There's
like
rollers,
straight up racetrack. Yeah,
doubles, big berms.
Yes, all of it.
Were there other kids there riding?
I actually don't really remember at that time, but I remember it was like Chicago bars, no helmet, like shoes not tied. It was squid life. Yeah. So once I realized that I couldn't jump with my bars like about to touch my front tire, I straightened up. But then it got to the point where I was like, yo, take me to the BMX track, or let me go to my grandparents' house for the weekend or whatever. And they kept telling my mom, like, does your son race? And they were like, no, like, he just comes and does it when he's down here. And they're like, your son just beat my son, and he's been racing for 2 years. So you should probably register. And he doesn't have a helmet. Like your kids like savagely beat my kid on like a MCS, like a sick race bike. Wow. So she got me registered.
You were just a natural.
And you know what? It's just literally jumping curbs. Like when you were growing up riding BMX, dude, like you would just go to like the neighborhood where you knew that had the wide driveways because you could like hit the little driveway gaps. Dude, we used to hit those like, 18 packs. We'd start at the top of this hill and just hit them all. And that's essentially like how I learned to get like rhythm for like trails or all that stuff. Really, like transferring off that onto a speed bump or vice versa, or like hitting the speed bump, landing manual to the next one, and then hopping back into the street. You know, like
that's so sick.
I mean, when you're
do you have any old? I don't mean to interrupt, but do you have any old footage of you guys doing that?
I do. I have. It's actually sick. I have to probably go through like 30 hours, but at one point in time, it was getting like really, really savage. We were taking like probably over 60 pallets, and we made this sick like step up. So you'd come around the corner from behind the shopping center, cranking your ass off, and it was probably like as tall as the ceiling, like step up. And we just like lined the pallets down. It was so haggard. Like if you for real didn't make it or cased it, like the whole stack was gonna go, and wherever you went, like. I did see that clip and us just like coming around the corner. We had one that was probably like a good 25 feet of just nothing but pallets. Like we would go to like construction sites and like ride the big dozers, like try to ride them like quarter pipes. Like we did a bunch of stuff, dude. Yeah. We were like pretty out there messing around. So yeah.
I grew up in Michigan, and there was like where I grew up was like a lot of farmland, tons of farmland. There's really good street riding in Kalamazoo, Michigan, but we would have to get so creative on some of the stuff we rode. Yeah. One time, there was a pickle farm, like a cucumber farm, and they would soak the cucumbers in these huge plastic vats, and in the winter time they would drain them and flip them, or in the fall they'd drain them and flip them up on their sides.
Right.
And you could ride them because they were like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so like I rode a giant plastic like full pipe.
That'd be sick.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
Curb cutting and stuff was like your neighborhood.
Yes.
In the country where I grew up, it was like riding full pipe pickle tube.
Dude, you ride rings. Anything you would see like as a kid with transition, you're like, dude, I want to go ride that. You know, like it didn't matter what it was. I remember we would just like go anywhere. We rode literally from where we lived. We skipped school one day and we went probably 10 miles out of the way and then like rode street all the way to DC. That's probably 30 miles.
Yeah. And DC's got amazing street riding because it's all marble, everything. Yeah.
But now, like after all the years of freedom and go skate day, I mean, I used to go skate day on my bike and just watch like the homies skate. I skated for a while and then I was just like, you know, whatever. I still like messing around sometimes, but watching the cops go after skaters on skateboards is savage. I watched me and my buddy were talking like this, and I see like in the peripheral a cop like supermaning for my friend and just plows him.
Oh man.
So they take his skateboard, and then when he gets it back, like his parents go get it. They super glued the wheels, like the bearings.
What?
Yeah,
the cops did that?
So what they would do is they would just
a punishment?
Yeah, they would just rile up all the boards, and they'd either like throw them, they'd break them. You'd like go to get your board and your board would be snapped.
Wow.
Right. Or they would just, somehow try to sabotage your board. So,
wow.
Yeah, the cops out there were pretty whack. But, it is. They didn't mess with bikers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do to sabotage. I guess slash some tires or something.
I mean, realistically, there's some people out there that will fight cops, but I'm not.
Me neither.
Yeah, so especially back then. But it would be, first you'd have to catch me, I guess, on the bike. So with the racing
that's the other thing. I think like a BMX bike is a lot faster, can be a lot faster than a skateboard.
Well, especially some dude who rides street. I'm going to hop that curb, hop over the bush, hit the corner, I'm out, whatever. Yeah. So, but yes, like all the riding in DC, Arlington, we're close to both of those major cities, so and Baltimore has some really good riding out there. But yeah, there's so much to ride out there. We've ridden a lot, and obviously, like, it was cool because you could watch a skate video and then go like, oh, Gold Rail, some of us like tried to board slide it or whatever. I was actually thinking about it not too long ago if it's still there. I'm not sure. It'd be sick to go hop it on the mountain bike.
Yeah, so it's so funny because like, you become you become very in tune with spots
Yes,
in skate and BMX culture, where to the average person, they're just like, you'd be like, oh, that's the Austin, Texas 9th Street rail or whatever. And they're like, or that's the Church Gap in Austin. And they're like, how do you know that? And it's like, oh, because it's in all these videos.
It's legendary.
Yeah.
I watched it every morning before I went to school.
Yeah.
That's why.
But yeah, it's just so funny that like in skate, there's all these spots that people like. I remember going and riding spots for the first time ever that I had been like seeing in videos for my whole life and just being blown away by it. You know, it's kind of similar, I guess, in mountain biking where like, you know, maybe an equivalent to that would be like the blue steel jumps or cam loops. You know, it's like if you go and you see all these like jump lines and stuff that are famous in all these videos, and then you go and ride them for yourself for the first time. Right. Like, oh my God, I'm here, you know.
Right.
But
there's a lot of that. It's kind of backwards for me because I've ridden some places out yonder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't believe I just rode that. Like, and then you find out actually what that place really means kind of to the community. And you're like, that's insane, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like spots, there's so many spots like that. Freedom Plaza is huge. And like, that's just like the national warm up, meet up, anything spot, you know? But Virginia, you have for like the bikes side of things, you have to be really creative. There's a lot of obviously street, but like for the dirt scene, like, you had our local 495 trails. You have the trails out in Maryland that some buddies have, Beltway. And then really in the immediate area, that's, you know, got some like Chambersburg jumps, but those are kind of far away from where I am. But
so you started going to the racetrack, and then did you get in, like you raced pretty heavily,
yeah. So I started racing local races and started doing a lot better. And then Mom, I don't know, I like went half a season, I didn't race, and like I came back with like a new bike, and it was like, what did this kid do? Like, and so then that's when I think I turned novice, and then some local guys like picked me up on their team. And then
was it like a shop or something?
At the time, it was. If you're familiar with Chad Powers, I grew up with him. He's got a bike shop. He's got like a bike museum and stuff. A lot of people know him from that. But Chad's pretty wild. So his friend Brandon had a clothing company called Look Good and Win, and like he was like, "Yo, dude, we got like I think I hit it was like a double in the first turn at Winchester. I think I turned down it in the race." If I'm not, it was like a way click, like 270 X up. I have a picture of it somewhere, or it was a turn down. But then, like after the race, he was like, "You're on the team," and I was like,
anytime someone throws a trick in a race run is so sick. Like Todd Lyons, like 360s and flips.
Dude, watching him at nationals growing up, like it was like flipping the pro set was just like, you know, bacon in the morning. You're like, well, Todd's got to do it before we go race. So yeah, but that's hold on. What did I just say about the?
Yeah, you were kind of joined like a race team.
Yes,
you did.
Look Good and Win.
Yep.
So after that, then it was like another local team picked me up from there. I can't remember the name, but yeah, essentially it just kind of started snowballing. I started racing nationals. I got picked up on a factory team, and then we started traveling. Most I've been down the East Coast, so like New York to Florida. And then I was always NBL too. I don't, was ABA and
I don't remember. Yeah. I never raced. I didn't race. I grew up riding
like dirt and street.
Dirt jumps, street, skate parks. Mostly skate parks and street.
Yeah.
But.
So yeah, I was NBL. I had an ABA license for a little bit. We didn't really have too many ABA tracks that were like worth anything to go to. They were just kind of, they didn't maintain them at the time back then. Because ABA was way more West Coast than, or Midwest as well too, but NBL was kind of on this side of things. So, but yeah, I mean, riding trails in between races, or you know, you go to the race and then they're like, "Oh, we got the sick, you know, trail spot. It's just 10 minutes away." So then the team would go ride and then throw down there. But yeah, it would just it it kind of snowballed into like everything. Like I had a street bike, I had a race bike, and I had a dirt jump bike. So a lot of the old parts that I didn't use anymore on a race bike, or if I got a new one, I would just throw on either of those bikes. So, you know, it'd always be like a fresh dirt jumper or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it came to like my senior year, and I was just like, I don't know, racing took the fun out of it towards the end.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like it just like, you know, because like people ask me to race now, like mountain bike things. I'd race one race like back home, and it was my buddy Zane. He threw it, the Shed Duro, but it was actually the downhill race. I raced that because it was the homie, and I liked the spot that it was at. But the whole competitive side, like some people.
Sorry to interrupt. Is that farmhouse that's got where you drop in off a shed, and it's like it's like a jump line that has some mega jumps at the bottom, and you race side by side?
No.
I'm thinking of something else then.
Well,
Shed Duro.
Oh,
is that what am I?
It's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah, I think that's the dude. My buddy's friends with him.
Okay.
That house is rad. If it's either PA or New Jersey somewhere.
Yeah.
But that place is rad as hell.
Yeah.
But I raced that again because it was just you know, for him. But I think like the competitiveness again, it takes some people can't like balance losing and then being your homie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
like
too competitive, yeah.
Yeah, and I was there for more or less like that. Like I love bikes without anybody. So like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't care if I win or not. But you know, when your boy is not like, it's like, oh, I made it to the semi and he's pissed because like maybe you were the one that knocked him out or what, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And like egos, man. Like I don't care about, you know, take your stupid plaque.
Yeah, right.
Like I was there to have fun. Like obviously winning is cool, but I'm there because I like my bike, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there is a pretty heavy jock mentality in racing like that.
But that's my problem. Like I played basketball for years. I, you know, travel AAU, like I went to Penn State for like college. My godfather was the head coach there, and I went 15, 16, 17, and I think you had to be 18. But me and his son Taylor won every year. Like our team would win, and it was like we destroyed these kids. And I was still like 5'5". Like I was like, I wanted to play like I wanted to go to the NBA when I was younger, but bikes took me over. So, but that's what I mean. Like, you know, people, like I got out of the core sports because of that mentality. You know, and like I didn't want that to ruin like that side of bikes for me.
Yeah.
So, and like when people ask me now to like ride mountain bike race, like I'll go hang out or you know, but like that kind of brings me back to like, this isn't fun.
And you know, I think there's different ways to approach it, like racing in general. You could either approach it from the perspective of being like I'm here to win.
Yeah.
That's it. Like this is, I just want to be known as the fastest person ever.
Right.
You know, and that's like EWS and World Cup downhill racing. All that, like that's a super competitive level of racing. But then there's also like fun vibe races too.
That's,
you know?
different.
Yeah.
I would do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I and again, like a part of me is still very competitive, but I don't like that side. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know, you start zeroing in
you
and
get
like,
into that zone. Right. You get into that atmosphere, and then it turns you into someone you're not too stoked on.
I'm cool. I know who I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm here for the high fives.
So moving from there, at what point, like, so you discovered mountain biking fairly recently, right?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah,
or 18. I discovered it, but 19 is when I got my first bike. So I think I was sitting on the couch. I was fat.
What?
Yeah, dude. I weighed like 215
Dang.
right before I weigh 175 right now. So yeah, I was just kind of I got more like a little bit out of bikes. I hadn't really been riding too much, probably for like 2.5 years. I've been into cars my whole life, so I was trying to finish up the Civic hatch restoration build I was doing. So that turned into 4 years, and I had broken my leg right at the start of the car project. So after all that, you know, you get settled back in. I was just like, you know, I did the car. I didn't think I'd ever sell it. sold it, and I was like, bikes, dude. Like, I was on Instagram. I saw Jasper Penton when he was like, you know, out there like killing it. And I was like, dude, I didn't know I could do this. Like, this dude just like super steezy, just killing it, having fun.
Yeah.
And then I just started really like venturing out, and then I realized a lot of BMXers were starting to go that way. And I was like, dude, that's sick. So one of my boys I saw out in New Jersey, Andrew, he had gotten like a standard dirt jumper, and I was like, that's sick, because I had like a standard 125R. And I was like, dude, how is that thing? He's like, it's sick, you know. So I was like,
is Rick Molintero still welding those bikes?
I honestly don't. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Minnesota, right?
Yeah,
that's where
I
they're
think
made.
so. Yeah,
I think, or Wisconsin. No,
or no,
I don't know. It's somewhere in the Midwest. I'm pretty sure.
I think it is. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, but
not
anyways,
gonna guess.
that's off subject. But, yeah.
So then he built the dirt jumper up. He rode that for a little bit. Then he bought like a proper mountain bike, hardtail, I think. And then he got a full sus. And I was like, dude, how do you like it? You know, I was like, aside from the price, it looks sick, you know? And so I just started asking my buddies at the bike shops, my buddy Jackson. I was like, hey, man, can I come by for a test ride? He's like, sure. So I rode the Remedy once. I was like, not for me. I rode the stump jumper, and I liked that. And then I think I went out there and did like a bunny hop, and then one of his boss was like, who just did that on that bike? And Jackson was like, that's my boy. Like, he's like, go figure, you know? So I rode that around, and then I was hooked. So I think like maybe 2 weeks went by, and I bought it. But then it was just like, how do I get this thing like dialed? Like, I want it to feel like an extension of me. So I made myself, I ride like 1,500 miles that year.
Damn.
Just to get used to it, you know? So like I was constantly watching GMBN, Jordy off Fox. When I saw him at the World Cup, in West Virginia, I was just like, I walked by and I was just like staring at him like, I feel like I know him. Like, but yeah, so I watched a ton of Fox stuff. Really anybody who wanted to share information about like suspension setup, bike setup, brake setup, like everything, cockpit, like, and I think that because I did so much research, like just being like the kind of like growing up, you try everything. You try the bars in your lap. You try the short bars, tall bar, you know? So, like, you kind of have to go through the paces to figure out how, you know, you're going to get comfortable on the bike. So, tried a bunch of setups.
Yeah.
And then once I felt like I got it dialed, it was just like I rode everywhere. I started riding to work. I'd, you know, get off work, get home, put in, like, a half hour, just go do some wheelies. Or I learned, like, taught myself how to, like, you know, hit corners differently. And so like getting some of the BMX out and then like learning how to like bond the both. It was a sick process.
It's really funny. Looking like us coming from BMX, getting into mountain biking, your approach towards riding is really it's completely different, because it's really funny because you're good at the things that most
everybody want to be good at.
Yeah, you're good. You're really naturally good at the things that mountain bikers who never BMX want to be good at.
Exactly.
Right, like just jumping and
bike
being
control,
like steezy or whatever. Like that kind of comes natural. But all the fundamentals, like cornering.
Yes.
We have none of those skills on a BMX bike.
No, you
don't
berm.
Corner. Yeah,
No.
you ride a berm, and it's usually a pretty drawn out berm.
It is,
and you're just kind of riding the flow. It's all flow, right? Like you and I could probably ride the shit out of a flow trail.
Yeah.
But then you start pointing it on some like nasty steep stuff, or like get into like some like ruts and stuff like that, or try to like slap a corner and keep speed out of it. That's all stuff that like is so foreign. And you have to learn. You know?
I think I had a little bit of a cheat code because I grew up riding dirt bikes. So
See, I never did, but that's and I think if you've got the double whammy of it.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, growing up riding dirt bikes, and just being like a 2-wheel freak, I think like, you know, that's what got me there too, because like I loved riding dirt bikes. Like I miss riding dirt bikes so bad, but I think that, so like, it's funny because like going back to the kids stories, I think like 5th grade, I remember there was this hill next to my house and I had my dirt bike then. So I made this like little, I used to call it my supercross track. So I actually like put these logs out like whoops, and then I just like covered them with dirt, like burr, burr, like XR80, just it's like clacking both sides. It's like dark. But anyways, so I used to like make like a little rut track for my bike. I was like, dude, I should just like do this on my BMX bike. Like that's the fun. Like that's fun. And like nobody shared that vision with me. So I like stopped doing it, and I just, you know, it was just like normal stuff. But a big part of me would enjoy just going to ride like through the woods. Like I would look for hills and just kind of like, you know, blaze down like a no trail hill. And it was super fun just hopping over trees or like, you know what I mean? So that I guess I kind of always had that weird free ride kind of thing in me, because I would be riding a 20-inch in the woods for no reason.
Yeah, and that, I mean, and your social media and your content today, that like I love seeing those videos because you guys just scratch in like a rut track with some like really teeny tiny like tire tall catch berms, and you're just like slapping and sliding out, and then the leaves and stuff. It's like very like 50 to 1 kind of. Energy.
That's pretty much sick. Like how we live out there, because there's not much else. Either we build it, it gets like my local spot that my buddy Nave built, it got plowed 3 times, and he like after the second time, like all of us started slowing down. Evan's like, nope, and he would just go put it. Then it became principle, like don't plow my stuff, you know. But obviously it was illegal, so but yeah, I mean we have to build what we want there 100%. Or it's not you're never gonna ride it, you know? And it sucks. It seems like crazy because there's so much money out there. Like there's Walmart money from, you know, like Bentonville. I mean, dude. Yeah. A dude I sold a car to, I mean, definitely had enough money to, you know, write a tax write-off. Like, yo, let's open this park for the kids, you know? Yeah. But you can't make everybody do that. So But it sucks because it's the land of opportunity there. You know, there's places where they could do it, and they started like grabbing onto like some of that really cool stuff. But once they did away with like, you know, like really pushing stuff through, I guess, you know, they don't really, what we need, like after watching Bike Town, I've watched it like 6 times now.
Shout out to Free Hub and all the guys that put on that.
I've showed my mom, I've showed friends, like, but we definitely need somebody, at least on, I guess, that I'm not aware of if it actually exists. But like then it was like that person that understands us and understands them. You know what I mean? Like so that we can communicate and like come together.
That's cool that that's sort of like what you took away from that. I mean, obviously that's like what it's all about, thing, but dude. It is. It's
100% because like even the trails, it's like you have the people with a certain mentality in charge, making decisions. And it's like, okay, we'll put a jump line in. And then you look at the jump and it's like, that's the size of my rear triangle. Is that even a jump? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and it sucks. You try to tell these people and like work with them. And like, you know, I started doing it, but then obviously wanting to travel and ride. I mean, I told, you know, some of them that I just didn't want, it's not that I don't want to, you know, do it, but it's like, I can't like, I don't know how I can help you if I'm traveling. And like, it's a lot. So, but I definitely, now that everything is straightened with some of that and we're in communication and we got some stuff built and like it's working out great, which is rad.
So you discovered mountain biking through some buddies, you know, that were, you know, were they bike shop people or how did you get in touch with people that were riding mountain bikes? Were they BMXers that
have a ton of friends that ride mountain bikes. I would just like, back then they would be like, yo, you know, I'm like, don't talk to me about that. Yeah. You know, so I was
a hater of mountain biking too at one point.
So it's funny because I actually rode, is it Iron Horse?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It had a burly downhill bike. The dude, Chad, I mentioned.
Is it the Sunday?
I couldn't tell you, dude.
I don't know. I might be butchering that.
He had one of these things in like 2003 or 4 at the track. And dude, I tried to ride. I was like, this thing's probably handle anything. But like, boy, that took all of my energy just to get it down one straight.
Yeah.
So I was like, absolutely not riding this. Yeah. And so I mean, at the time, like,
see, for me, I don't mean to interrupt, but at the time, for me, or not at the time, but for me personally, BMX was like everything, and it was gnarly, right? Like the things people were doing, riding street or hitting dirt jumps, like blasting huge jumps,
right?
And, I was just like what I had known of mountain biking growing up was just like spandex, and like XC, because that's like
it's true,
in Michigan, that's what was popular at the time, and I know that's shifted a lot nowadays. But so I was just like, no, I'm not going to put spandex on and go ride trails like this, with a bunch of roots. Like that sounds boring. Yeah. And then it wasn't until moving out here that in working at Diamondback and stuff that I saw like, oh, this is what mountain biking is.
Exactly. And like, how do you, so, I mean, growing up watching like Krusty Demons and like all those crazy old school moto videos, like all those dudes hung out with those wild mountain bikers and they would be, I mean, I still have the videos of them like hucking themselves off like cliffs that you're not, what was the one dude that kept going off that insane cliff and he had like that crazy raked out bike? It had like 300 like that.
Doug, that's the dude from Utah, famous freerider.
Bender.
Bender.
So he was in like a bunch of those old I'm not sure of all the people that were in them, but I mean, I would see it like, dude, those dudes are nuts. Like, but I wouldn't think, I mean, we're in Virginia, that bike has no place here, so, but I guess like nobody really like sat me down and was like, this is what mountain bikes can do, and by the time that really happened, I discovered it myself, so.
Yeah. So you got Specialized, and is that how you got in touch with Alan, or how did that all work out?
So it's actually crazy because I bought the stump jumper. I bought a large stump jumper, and I rode it for probably like a month, and I was like, this is too big. Like I can't like flick the bike. Like so I went and I bought a woman short travel like base, like chrome stanchions on the forks, and I just swapped bikes, and then I sold the other bike. So then really when I got the purple stump jumper is when like stuff started like really happening. So then I went back out to Bryce. So I took the first one out there once or twice, and then once the purple one went together, it was just like it made sense. Like everything was clicking because I put more miles on the big bike than I did the purple one. But like after trying to fight with it and like trying to like table this huge butt, you know what I mean? Like everything fell into place. So I was at Bryce, and Andrew, the filmer, social media guy, he was out there, and I like
for Specialized.
No, just for the park.
Gotcha.
So I was out there, and I threw like a T-bog. He took a picture and then was trying to track me down the whole time. So then we made that park video for them that summer. Well, he's buddies with a guy that works for Specialized. And I was like, dude, he was like, yeah, man, let me ask him how to do like the program. Cause I was, we were just chatting. I'd be like sick to be an ambassador.
Yeah.
And that same week, his buddy emailed me and was like, I'll get you in touch with who you need to get in touch with. So I applied, actually, and then just got the spot.
Yeah.
So really, if it wasn't for Andrew, I wouldn't have known how to, because I was like, how do you, like, I don't even know where to look, because on the website, it's not like, and it's November, they drop all the applications, and then it's closed. You find out December 1st if you made it or not, and then, you go from there. So that first year, it was really the first year, but kind of year two. Yeah. We made the video for the park. I found out I was going to be the ambassador. Then I got invited to do the shoot here, and then that's how AC found me, was through the ambassador program. Yeah. And then I'm here, fast forward.
How was it getting an email from Alan Cook?
Dude, do you even need to ask? That'd be like him like coming to your elementary school and like picking you out.
Yeah.
Tyler, let's go ride.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
like
yeah.
you'd be like, oh my, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I know.
But yeah, I was definitely stoked at work. I was like, dude, this is sick. And they're like, what? And I was
he's like the most humble dude too. Like you can't talk about like how much you were like, oh,
nope,
Alan Cook is so cool, because they'll just be like, shut up, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, he's super
he
chill.
Really, he doesn't want to hear that.
Like when he picked me up from the airport when we were doing, I was like, can you just give me like 5? Let me fanboy for a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, X Games, videos, like all this stuff. Like, yeah. And we were like chit chatting about some funny old things. And I ended up was on YouTube one night and I found videos of him doing flipping a moto. I was like, dude, that's so sick. But that dude he's seen some stuff, man. He's a legend. And the fact, like, riding with him here, like just watching him ride, I just like I don't know if you've ridden with him. You've obviously ridden with like the pros here. This is like a whole new planet to me. But just watching like somebody tell you like, hey, there's like a drop right there, and then it goes down a chute, and then there's like, you know, another 5 feet, and then you have to hit this corner, or it's like game time, and he's just like, okay, and then full speed, like, what? Did you like? Yeah. And then me and like Ming, it was one of the chick that was on the trip with us. Me and Ming were like, let's go down there and check it out. Yeah. You know, like, dude, this whole scene, like, I'm telling you, it'd be like me like building a shifter cart and then going and doing a NASCAR. Like, it's just I wasn't expecting this. Everything was crazy steep, crazy fast. Everything was bigger. It's like Texas for bikes. Everything's bigger.
So that's here's a question for you. Yeah. Before you came out here for that Specialized shoot a couple of years ago, or last year or whatever, I don't know how long.
It was 20. It was 21.
Yeah. My question is, were you aware of like what clout Bellingham kind of had at the time? No.
That's what I'm saying. Like this place never existed to me.
Away. Yeah.
I knew Jill lived here only because we used to ride, like, she probably won't remember me, but like at our track where Robbie, his mom, helped build, she used to come in the summer, and you know, all my homies would be at my house for the summer, and we'd all just like do gates and train together. So like, you know, we got cool with like a bunch of the BMX pros in the summer, and we'd see him every race anyways. But you know, but she's the only person that I knew that was here. But I had no idea. Like I would see her do interviews about like the pump track up the street, or stuff like that. But that doesn't unlock the hidden door, like all this riding, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, that is honestly a testament to your ability to adapt to a mountain bike. It's actually really amazing, just how short of an amount of time that you've ridden mountain bikes and how good you are. Because, I mean, your tables are like, people would dream of doing tables as good as your tables.
Thank you.
Your knacks, like all the tricks that you're throwing on a mountain bike, and it's like it's the BMX, but like the BMX background, right? Coming through, But not only that, dude, like those clips of you riding those rut tracks and you're just like exploding corners and stuff. It's like you're a very well-rounded mountain biker. Yeah. And it's super natural for you. Yeah. And like that's why I took notice immediately. I was like, holy shit, this dude is sick. I wanna hook him up.
That's sick, yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely it's really interesting to hear kind of the story and how quick you went from like zero to like, you know, a hero almost.
It's funny because like still BMXers get no credit, even though it's like, yes, we have a cheat code, and like the basis of BMX is bike control, and I don't like.
Well, it's hard to ride a 20-inch bike.
It really is.
Like it's
and good,
a big human on a tiny bike. They're twitchy.
Exactly.
The first thing anyone's ever going to comment on about riding a 20-inch if they've never ridden one as an adult is they're like, whoa, this thing will just like
twitch.
Just like turns instantly. You know? And if I don't ride it, I haven't ridden my BMX bike in a very long time. Probably like a year, honestly, or more. I don't know. It's been quite some time. But when I get back on my BMX bike, I have to spend probably like 3 hours riding before I even feel a little bit comfortable. And then you got to keep on it, or else you'll lose it. You know, it's like, but yeah,
it's very true though, because I like made that one clip. I came home one day, I like took my 20-inch off the wall, and I was like, I just want to do a turn down. Mm-hmm. So like for an hour, I like was in front of my garage, just like bunny hopping. Then I started throwing like the half turn downs. And then I finally got like, you know, the turn down I was satisfied with. But it's funny because like growing up, any trick I could do in the air, I learned like almost flat land. Like we'd put like a CCS kicker up on the hill. So we'd jump one kicker into the hill. So you'd like get your X up. And then like you'd go and jump off the other one. And we had it like, so it was kind of like level. Dude, that's where like we learned threes, tail whips, like all kinds of tricks. So, you know, just like growing up like that and just kind of, you know, just going out there, having fun, all that good. It's, you know, that's essentially what it's about. Yeah. Really. Yeah. So, but the 20-inch skills do help. I still think like even coming from BMX as a cheat code, you still have to put in time to learn your suspension. You still have to put in time to know like how wide your bars need to be and this and that. Like there's those feelings. I'm very much like, if my brain is thinking about how wide my bars are, I have to cut them. Yeah. It just has to be that like that equation to where like all I'm thinking about is what's in front of me. And that's same with BMX, you know what I mean? Especially racing. Like if you think you're going to come unclipped, you're probably going to come unclipped, you know, and then there goes your gate, there goes your race. So but BMX is a great foundation. I realize that, like, especially racing, like, you don't really use all that skill as fast as that race is over, but, like, going downhill or descending, you use all those skills the whole time you're riding.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on the type of trail you're riding. Like, you know, I think if you're riding, there's some trails that are pure flow.
Right.
And, you know, maybe, like, some of those skills you need when you're like bouncing through a like nasty root section where you're constantly being like tested for your bike control. You know, that's some those are some elements to like mountain biking that I think maybe don't translate from BMX and sometimes are like you're not being tested at all times. But I do see what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, you know, like but I mean again, man, like BMX racing, you are being tested to the max 100%. In some capacities. 100%. Like 100%. You have to butter a landing. You can't case it. You can't overshoot it. You've got to like get perfect.
You're greasing it like right as it's cresting. You're on it.
So you got to be at like you got to be perfect in some like areas of bike control. You know, where in other ones you're not so much. You know,
and I think that's what people forget. You know, like when I started riding, and I told you I rode all those miles. It was like I went to the local trailhead and I was just riding. I was getting lost at our local trail because it's not really like it doesn't have trail names. So I started hanging out with this Korean bike crew, and dude, they got me like hooked up with essentially where all the like spots were. They were taking me to spots that were close but that were sick, but then they're like, we're going to take you here because we know you're going to go wild, you know, and they would just love to watch it. So it worked out. It was a great thing to get it started. But yeah, I mean, from there, but like even working with them, because they're like, dude, like we like watched you start riding and like now you're this, and I'm like, yeah, but BMX, but you also got to spend the time to set your bike up, you know. If you don't try and see what feels good and this and that, you're never ever like you're still like messing your equation up, you know. Like
the first time I ever rode a mountain bike, I didn't know what suspension was, and I just like didn't set anything. I didn't get like pumped. The shock was way over pressured for my weight. You know, you ride through like chunky stuff and my feet are blowing off, and I'm like these my feet are falling off the pedals. Like what the heck? So I started clipping in and not knowing like, oh shit, I'm actually, if I would have set my suspension up correctly, my feet would have stayed on the pedals. But you know, that's all stuff that you definitely don't
Yeah.
figure out until you know
You're in it, right? Exactly.
Until somebody tells you, like,
Right.
like, you know, like a buddy is like, dude, your suspension is jacked.
Exactly.
You know, you have way
Yes.
too much compression.
Exactly.
So way too much pressure.
Right.
You know.
But again, it's like there's not a lot of people that can get on, like, especially my old bike, couldn't get on it and ride it because my fork was normal, but my shock, I mean, what did I have? It was the 500 by like 710 progressive or whatever it was. Like, dude, that bike was like nothing but a spring, you know, and I'm like blasting rock gardens with it. And people are like, how do you even ride that bike? And I'm like, dude, it just works. Like, it's weird because like the BMX in me was like, if my bike's going to do something, my legs are going to give good feedback or like push back or, you know, so, and it was hard with the suspension. So like numbed out, like slow. And it was like, my legs are moving faster than the suspension is. So it's not working. So I just like, at first I had like everything wide open in the rear, but I've learned to like tone it back some. So,
Yeah.
But again, different bike, different setup. You just kind of evolve. But what I meant to say for like the last 10 minutes, because I keep going on tangents.
That's all good. That's what a podcast is about. Tangents.
Is that I enjoy the jumps. I love jumps. But my favorite is ruts and trail riding and like sick. Like, you know, the stuff that's nobody really like goes after, I guess. You know, like.
Yeah, you've been out here
twice
now
it's
to
my
ride.
third time.
But you haven't been able to ride since you've been here. It's not really a riding trip. Yeah.
No, I mean I could cruise, but I can't like go hard. No.
Oh yeah, we can get into your injury here in a second.
Okay, yeah.
But so you've been out here a couple times now. You know, I guess you barely taken a bite off the like tip of the iceberg, you know.
No.
So you got there's a lot of really good stuff to keep yourself entertained, and not only that, but there's like BC, and I mean there's so much exploring to do, and I would like I'm excited for the idea. I'm excited for you, and excited for the idea of you being in this side of the country to be able to just like
let loose.
Because what's nuts is, you know, and some people might not know who you are and like where you're riding and stuff. But you are a very talented bike rider, and I think you haven't really had a lot of time to ride some of this stuff, and I think as you progress, you're just inevitably going to get in being 36 years old. Like I still think that you are well in your prime, and you got a lot. There's a lot of road ahead of you, and it's going to be really awesome to kind of see. You know,
I am a catfish, dude. I can't believe I'm closer to 40 than I am 30.
I'm right smack in the middle. You know?
I'll be 36 tomorrow.
Tomorrow's your birthday.
Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday, bud. So let's talk about you. Just came off of a collarbone break. You've broke that collarbone before, right? No. Okay.
So when I was at my local park in March, and you know I got bucked off this hill, and I landed on my left side.
Mountain biking.
Correct.
Yep.
I landed on my left side, and essentially
this is on your dirt jumper, right?
No, this was on my. This was when I got hurt before.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I didn't break anything. Okay. So it was just like bad blunt force trauma. It'd just be like jumping off your roof and landing on your left side. So I did 7 weeks of physical therapy. Stayed off the bike pretty much the whole time. Was hitting the gym, all that. Come out here. Life is good. It's sick. I get back. I buy a dirt jumper. I'm just chilling. I go to the skate park. I'm sessioning. I was about to meet up. I met up with Brad. I got 2 laps with Saunders.
So do you know Brad Sims?
Yeah.
Okay. Through BMX days or what?
Yeah. So so I was talking to him about that too before. I was like, dude, we used to like session back in Vance. But so Saunders is, I actually know him through channels of people in his racing. Do you remember Bulldog?
Yes, I know that name.
That's I think his uncle.
Okay.
So at the track, that's where they were, you know, it was all there. So I knew a bunch of their friends, and, you know, they were really good people. So I always hung out with them. We traveled with them, whatever. So I essentially re-met Brad through Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Saunders got linked up and, started doing like the mountain bike thing together when we could link up. And then, Brad again got into obviously the canyon. But, him and Saunders are like brothers, I guess, really good homies. So inevitably, if I'm with Saunders, he's there as well, or vice versa. So, but yeah, so, Brad Sims.
Yeah.
He's
so you guys are riding the skate park.
Yeah. No, there's a skate park. So I was at another skate park by my house. So it's like a prefab park, but it's kind of like my gauge because the last time I really sessioned there was like on my 20-inch.
Yeah.
And
Was this your first session on your 26?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say second.
Yeah.
But like realistically, I had it for like 4 or 5 days, maybe a week, if that. But so me and Brad and Saunders are on the trailhead. We're about to hit the dirt jumps. So there's like a big line, and then there's a roller line. So I'm like blasting the rollers, and like everybody starts doing it. And then I guess the screw in the back wheel came loose, dropped out as I'm like racer style through the rollers.
The axle came out.
They backed out, and the back wheel apparently just like fell out.
Right out. Oh my god!
Because the dropouts are like this.
Yeah.
So it was probably in there as I'm like I manual too, and then I put it down, and then I started pumping, and then it was just like I remember like seeing the ground, and then I was just like, you wake up, or I didn't get knocked out, but essentially you open your eyes like.
Yeah, you did.
Oh
just
shit!
So
and
fast.
You're like, what's broke?
Yeah.
And at first I was like, damn, I'm all good, and then I was like, and I was like, I think that's broke. So
you just had surgery.
So misdiagnosed from the ER.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They were like, oh, you don't need surgery. It'll be fine. It'll heal by itself. So I'm at home for a week, and then I'm like, it still hurts, but I was still gonna follow up with my
orthopedic.
Yeah, because I had the scans through him in March for the other stuff, and he was like, after he did the scan, he was talking to me about some other stuff, and I guess in his head it was just like he already knows he needs surgery, but I'm like, so what's the deal? And he's like, oh no, yeah, it's in half, like you need surgery now. And I was like,
It's kind of crazy. They just screw them together these days.
Literally.
Like if you break your collarbone, you're going to have surgery.
Yeah,
they just put a plate in it, and that's how they fix them these days.
Yeah.
And I broke mine snowboarding a bunch of years ago. I caught an edge when I was like a kid. I was like probably like
But that's when you're
16,
the most
17.
flimsy, dude. It's
and
like
I just like slapped the ground. I caught an edge, slapped the ground at my local ski resort. I heard a loud pop. I was like, oh, this hurts.
Yeah.
And then, I never even like my collarbones are like two different like heights or whatever. It's like, but I never even went and got an X-ray just because my mom was like, she was a nurse. She's just like, she's like, they're not going to do anything. They're going to put you in a sling. Because back then, that's all they did. They were just like, they put you in a sling. Don't use your arm for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And it'll heal together.
Yeah.
It'll heal jacked up.
Yeah, exactly.
So like now my collarbone's like kind of lumpy and weird, and I got like weird offset.
Yeah.
But
cause
nowadays they just screw them together.
Right. Because he was like, if I don't, your shoulder. He was like, your one shoulder is probably going to be 3 inches shorter. Whatever. Because it's. Essentially what happened is once it broke, it just went like this. So like I could feel one side like poking, and I could feel the other one in the back.
Yeah.
So that's what I was like, dude, what is the deal? And he was just like, dude, this thing is destroyed.
Yeah.
Like you have to, and apparently there's a 14-day window. I got my surgery on the 14th day.
So if you wait until past the 14th day, it's
apparently I don't know if it's like it could reject it or like it's something with the healing.
Yeah, maybe it's already started healing. They got to re-break it or something.
But I could feel them like after a while, just like
rubbing. Oh, that's
dude,
horrible.
It was brutal.
That makes me nauseous.
So yeah, it was like, and it's funny because like it felt like weird at first, when it was broke, but then dude, like after like I got home, the nerve block started wearing. By the way, like the nerve block is still there. It's weird. It was just like, dude, this feels weird, dude. It feels like there's like, something right next to my face. Like it just felt weird. So feeling it and like the seatbelt touching it, it makes the skin super sensitive. It's weird.
Yeah. So are you're obviously not in the sling anymore.
No.
How much longer do you have until you're...
So he just cleared me like 2 weeks ago to do PT, or maybe a week. So I start PT next week.
Nice.
So yeah, I just didn't want to block it with
Yeah.
this trip. So yeah. Start PT next week, and then he wants me to go twice a week, but I'm probably gonna do one of their PT and just do some stuff at home because it's expensive, bro.
Yeah.
It's like 45, which with insurance, it's not bad, but 45 a session, twice a week adds up.
Oh
and,
yeah, totally.
I did that for 7 weeks this summer. I had enough. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, you're back. What's wrong?" I was like, "Oh, I broke it this time." And they're like, "Oh, okay. We'll see you soon."
So after you move out here, we have like a pretty good group of friends. I actually have like a couple friends who are physical therapists.
Ooh,
and they do trades. So
perfect. I'm down.
I'm not gonna name them because they're gonna get blasted.
That's fine.
But no,
tell me after the
yeah, you do some like beer trades or whatever trades, and you can get some. Honestly, it's literally like them going, okay, you need to do a couple of sessions with this, get some bands. We're gonna do these 5 times a day or whatever, and then you just do them.
So here's the funny part: is like when I went into my physical therapy before, because it was like a lot of just like muscle and stuff. They really didn't have me. They would only have me do stuff that I couldn't do because I didn't have a machine. Most of the time, I was doing stuff I couldn't do by myself. A lot of the time they were with me, like getting knots out of my back and shoulder and like moving the muscle. I mean, the lady was like touching my elbow and like I could feel my muscle loosening here. And I was like, wow. Yeah. So like a lot of the stuff, they were like manipulating my arm and like moving it. And at first I couldn't straighten my elbow 100% straight. It was like I could only go here. And they got it to go 100%, like literally 5% each week.
Yeah.
And it was insane because it took a lot. And it was like, I mean, at one time she like put herself between my elbow and was like pulling it back. And I'm like, this is going to break. But no, they got me like really put back together. They did a great job there. So, but they work on the Redskins. So.
Oh, really? Sick. So you're pretty much like a professional athlete.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm getting.
Wait, they're not the Redskins anymore. They're the. Commanders.
I'm sorry, the Redskins. No, the Commanders.
Come on,
no, it's the Commanders.
Yeah,
it's the Commanders.
It's actually good that they changed the name.
It is. But see, like and then it's like you ask somebody who's like. It's an interesting conversation. I'm actually, because I am part Native American. My mom, it's my great grandparents are Native American, or my grandma is. But it's like I'm curious about that, especially with it being like here and just I want to, there's a lot to learn here about the Native. You know what I mean? Like that one guy I mentioned earlier. You told me not to say his name. He was telling me a bunch of stories about like how they like take the tree like bark off some trees and it's like to make like it's sick like I want to learn all about
the culture out here. There's so much to learn. I mean, and there's so many cool museums that you can go to. All up and down the Puget Sound, there's so many like native tribes that were like stationed or not stationed, but all like positioned all over. And I mean, there's crazy amounts of culture and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of that all over the United States, but Washington has some like pretty, it seems or just the Pacific Northwest has some pretty like
I mean, because like again, I'm in DC, so there's Museum City, but it's different. Like I started like I was thinking about it the other day. Like I never really like utilized DC for like what most tourists do because it's like your hometown, you know. I just recently started going to like museums in the summertime and like revisiting these things, and it's like pretty like learning as an adult is different. It's pretty cool because it's not more like this is so stupid to learn, man. Like, this
is boring.
It's freaking boring, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to go shred.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but going back to like the Air and Space Museum and like actually like really taking in what you're reading and looking at things for what it is. I went to like the U.S. Mail Museum, which was sick. Like learning how they like used to send the dog and like actually delivering mail with a satchel on a dog. It would take like a week.
No, wait,
or
hold on. There is a museum dedicated to the mail service?
Yes, dude, it's sick. It's so sick.
Awesome.
It goes through like the trains, like when the first like automobiles started getting involved with it, like how they actually, and it's more or less like how people were communicating. Like if there's a war, how do you know? It's like I'm gonna text him.
Right.
I'm gonna throw a rock at this tree and it's gonna echo, and then smoke signals are gonna come up from the mountain. It's you know, it's like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool to learn.
Yeah.
And like the Holocaust Museum, intense, super crazy. It's very humbling, obviously.
Sure.
And I haven't even been to the African American museum that just opened. It was like crazy. My mom's been 4 times, so it's like she doesn't live in the state, so she like flies here, goes. She'll like come take her friends. I'm like, what about your kid? You know, and she's like, oh yeah, next time. So I'm like, thanks, Mom. So. But I you know, Washington is great, and it has like its perks, you know, with all the war history and all that stuff. But it's like back then, you know, you didn't care. So like your downtime on bikes, you know, you learn random things, you know.
So here I do have a question. Yeah. So kind of like talking about, you know, being a person of color in mountain biking. I kind of want to touch on that subject a little bit. Yeah. One thing I was curious about is, you know, you ride with Corey and whatnot. Do you have like more people of color that you ride with, or do you mostly ride with white guys or women, or who is within your crew, and like what's your what's the riding scene like out east?
To be honest, like whoever is like. Everybody knows me there. You've seen the joke. Like Eon, like my crew is who is out there. My core crew, you know, I text the homies like Chris and some other people, Corey. I got my Maryland side, I got my Virginia side. But like really, I mean, people message me to come ride. They're going to be at Lake Fairfax. Like that's it. People of color, we have the minority mountain bike crew. I actually haven't been. I've been like opposite places of the trips. Corey's been doing a lot of stuff with them. Our buddy Angelo got featured. Did you see the Free Hub magazine?
Yeah.
So that's Angelo. He's in that too. He's out in Richmond. Harry, I believe, is the one who started it. So shout out to them. But I mean, they're local guys. I mean, I ride with them whenever I see them.
The reason I ask is just because Bellingham is sadly very white.
So, and I get that.
You know, like we don't have a lot of diversity in the mountain bike scene here.
Correct.
And, you know, so like moving from somewhere out east where maybe you have like more people of color to like connect with and ride with.
Sure.
You're like, you know, like, how do you feel about moving to a community like this? Do you feel welcome? Do you feel excited?
I will say, like, okay, so you know me as a rider, and like, so you know my skill level.
Yeah.
So I've shown up to places and nobody would talk to me until they saw me ride, which is like, I get it, but you know, I'm like, come on. But, but then I've shown up to places and it's like, hey man, how you doing? Like, you know, the trails are like this. I'm like, I like literally just stepped out of my car and I've gotten a trail update, you know, but it's just it doesn't matter, like white, black, whatever.
Yeah.
There's not so much like, you see it here and there, and we, you know, obviously try to say hi in this. But like, as for Bellingham is very accepting. Yeah. There might not be a lot of diversity now, but as long as the community is like, has their mind in the right mindset, it'll come.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am like, I want as much diversity in
for sure. We all do.
We possibly can get.
Right.
Because it keeps positive culture. Like
it
keeps, there's so much different cultures that can come in from all these different groups that I think will like make mountain biking awesome and cool and fun and like, you know.
But one thing people realize is, or I guess need to realize, is that like outdoorsy stuff and like that is like not really marketed to that crowd. Black people, people of color. So I was just heading that direction no matter what, like from a young person, you know what I mean? And I didn't have a ton of black friends growing up like that were in my neighborhood. So I just did what I did regardless, you know? But like here, I recognize that everybody's welcoming. This is a very open community. It's, I guess I could say it's progressive. And the fact that like, you know, me and my mom were legit talking about it. Like, you know, she was like, it's refreshing to go somewhere and not be like stared at. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what are you doing here? You know? And it's crazy to say, sorry, my mom's calling me right now. Hold on.
You got to take your mom's call.
Hello, Mother. I'm still doing the podcast. Of course I will. I understand. I know. All right, bye. So that was her.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Mom. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. My mom recently was like, I really want to be on your podcast. I'm like, all right, Mom, we're gonna do it. Yeah,
do it. Yes.
So that episode will come up in the future. Sure. It's gonna be. I told her, I was like, that'll be a special Mother's Day episode.
You know what? That would actually be sick. That'd be really cool.
That'd be really funny. People will get a deep insight into my history. It might be uncomfortable.
Yeah, but my mom would do the same thing. She was like, I was like, you're not gonna come. I made that decision for her.
She's gonna hear the background making comments.
Like all this, either that or she laughs like a hyena. So it's like you can only deal with it for so long. It's like me and my mom are extremely similar. We're very close. But yeah, she's like one of the homies, you know, she really is. Once you get to know her, all my friends growing up, like I remember my best friend at the time came over and my mom was like behind the door and he comes in and of course it's like, you know, he couldn't come out early. So he was pissed. He walks in, he's like cussing his mom. He's like, my mom's like annoying. She doesn't like, you know, this and that. And essentially my mom was like, what? She like slammed the door, grabbed him, put him in a headlock, and like started like giving him a noogie and beating him up, this and that. Yeah. She treats my friends like her kids. Yeah. You know, she beats on you, she'll cuss at you, tell you to, you know, this and that. So
No, I want to go back to kind of the topic and the subject we were talking about. And mainly it was mostly what I'm just curious about is, you know, is the outdoor industry. You kind of touched on it. We don't like the outdoor industry doesn't market to people of color, or maybe we don't do it well enough, right? And so, you know, what can't, like, if you were to tell an owner of a company like myself or even Specialized or anybody, I mean, I do think there are companies who are authentically doing it, and I hope that, you know, Tenet is doing it authentically, you know, because I like your riding, and you're an incredible human being. You're super outgoing, and you're just a personable individual. And those are the type of people I want to support. Yeah. I don't care what sexuality you are. I don't care what color your skin is. None of that. What really matters is just that you are an individual that is doing good for cycling in general. Yeah. In your community and in our community and in all communities. And so, like, you know, like you were talking about how you grew up a lot of maybe like you grew up around a lot of white kids. Yeah. And so, like, you know, discovering cycling through that, what can brands do to better connect with like Black culture? Like, what can mountain bike companies or bike companies do to better, you know, get people of color into cycling?
I mean, it can be very difficult or it can be very surface. First, you have to show us what it looks like for a Black person to be in a commercial of white sports or you know, whatever it may be. If I can't imagine myself doing it, then I'm never really going to have any interest in it. So it was like the basketball thing. Like I wanted to be Michael Jordan. I idolized Michael. He's from Carolina, where my dad's from. Like a double whammy. Like so when I was growing up, it would be like James Stewart, but he's the same age as me. Ronnie Chalk, John Saunders, who's a local hero. Like anybody of color that was doing those things. That is how you market to that. And like, again, like Specialized has been doing an amazing job in being inclusive. There's a bunch of other companies that are doing the same thing. But I think it's like getting in these people's communities, showing them that like, hey, this is what this is about, and like, or invite people to come. But then it's weird because like there's articles out there that are like bigging up these things, but then you're getting backhanded comments, like, or it's like presented in a way that like, it doesn't really sit well with some people, so, we are gonna feel like foreigners to something, and it's like, I love bikes. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So not everybody's going to be like me.
Yeah.
Growing up racing BMX, I mean, my mom could tell you some of the stories, like rolling through Kentucky, just me and her. And we were told, like, we were in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Just trying to get gas.
That's fucked up.
You know what I mean? Like, and then there was, times where, like, people are talking stuff at races. You know what I mean? So, you learn to like look past and through those things, because like the dude who's at the race making the racist comments, maybe I beat his son and he knows his son's not as good as me, but his son might not care, but his dad's just mad that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's like another thing too. It's like you're bringing all your weird stuff into this, like a bike and a person having fun has nothing to do with race or religion or whatever, like, and
that's all that we really want, right?
That's
like,
why do you think, like, if you look at my page, it's bikes? Like, I have a personal page, I have a car page, I have whatever. I'm there for bikes. Like, people don't realize that, and I've had people comment like, I respect that you never put like political views or say anything about but I'm not here. I appreciate it, but I'm not here for that. Like, this is my bike page. Like, I want this to be about bikes, progression, people having fun. I love when my friends, tag me with the crazy picture and, whatever. But, like, when my friends do that, and then another kid on Instagram down the street that I might not know might be a little black kid, and now he saw that sticker, and now he's following me. Like, that's cool.
I mean, has anyone ever reached out to you to say like, hey, you've inspired me to start riding, or like, hey, can you tell me like where do I begin?
A few people, and it's. I mean, I don't know how to like really handle those situations except for like, thanks. Like, if you're ever trying to ride, let me know. I mean, again, like, I give my number to a lot of people back home have my number to like go ride whenever. And it's like, again, I was hanging with the Korean crew and they are accepting to everyone. There was like there was me, there was 3 black guys, like 10 Korean guys, a white guy, a few Spanish guys, it's crazy diverse. And Northern Virginia is very diverse. It's very diverse. And that's one thing I love about it. But there's places that want to be diverse, and then there's places that are accepting of diversity.
Yeah. So I would say like Bellingham is, it's if you look at the numbers, it's not diverse. It
may not be.
Yeah. And I think I would say we would fall into that category. We want to be diverse, I think, so.
But I think you guys are also very accepting, and you have to give yourself credit for that, because there's places that aren't accepting of whites, blacks, you know what I mean? Like, you might go to the wrong neighborhood and be like, what are you doing here? And vice versa. I've had the same thing. Like, it's not good on either side.
Yeah.
But the fact that, I've been, the middle of, like, BMX races, like, BMX track or BMXing is not, like,
I think like freestyle street BMX, there's a lot of like, it's kind of like skate culture where there's a lot of diversity in that. Right. But I can see racing as like, very like, I don't know. It's kind of like it can be, competitive, maybe like a more, rural sort of like sport or segment of BMX or BMX racing or BMX in general. But well, I think I'm really excited for the the potential for you to move here and be a part of our community. I think it would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and, I'm super excited.
And like, dude, like, I love supporting you because again, you're just an awesome bike rider.
Thank you.
You're really talented.
I appreciate that.
And you're clearly a stand-up person. Everybody's gonna be able to take that.
I know. Yeah.
And you know how to tell some good stories.
Yeah, I talk too much.
No, that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
Yeah, but yeah, for sure. I'm definitely that dude. Like that. It just enjoys the good time. I want, one of the kids back home has a YouTube channel, and like he made a video at the Park Bryce, and you see me in a clip, and he's like, "There's Elliott, like the Bryce poster child," and I'm like, I commented on his videos like, "Don't ever do that again. That was weird. Come say hi." It's just like I'm a normal person. Even if whatever I were to turn pro, like please, like I want to be the most approachable person like ever, like I just want to be having fun, everybody smiling, having, beers, whatever, good times. Like this is the part of why I want to be here, like I want to maximize my time on the bike and like whatever I have to do, minimize that time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I have to work for this amount of time and then I can go ride bikes, like that's why I'm putting myself in this area because I don't need to drive 45 minutes to go shred. That could be another 30 minutes on the top of the hill, right. So, and obviously, you and everybody else, Blake, Doug, all the people that I've met, Billy. Yeah, man, I hope to meet like everybody here. Like I want to be the regular.
So aside from potentially moving here, I really hope that happens, and we got to keep working towards that. Any way we can make it happen, let's figure it out. But what do you have? What are some goals that you're trying to hit in the next year or two, or what's on the calendar? What's on the docket? What are some of these big goals you want to hit?
I have some like kind of goals I'll share to you later with like some other stuff. But, like I guess just relearning myself, to be honest with you, man. Like, just new place, like kind of taking a step back and like really enjoying the simple things and putting on a list what really matters in life and keeping that list simple, try not to add like weird stuff to the equation, but that's my goal, man. Like I'm pretty simple. I don't want to make it like weird and complicated, but like, I have some personal goals that I'd probably share like outside of this, but really just being a better person, evolving, learning, and doing what I can do to help anybody ever. That's great, but I do want to become a better rider. That's why I'm here. And definitely try and help you grow the brand, evolve with you. And man, I don't know.
I mean, that's what I love. That's what I love about like pretty much the entire Tenet crew. Is every single person, they all want to be like to help the company grow and become something bigger and and that's that goes back to like, again, like to touch on just a little bit, like it goes back to like I want to embed diversity into the brand ethos, because it's like if you do it just from the foundation, then it'll just emulate that forever. Exactly. And so like I look forward to like being able to do that and share that kind of like growth with you and everybody that's going to be a part of that, you know, part of the brand. So,
and that's, and people will notice that, dude. Like, and people will, you know, they might not like give you props to your face, but like they're taking notes.
Yeah. and I don't want praise. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, Tenet is so cool because but I want them to be, I just want people to be like, I like that brand because they're doing it and it's authentic and it actually means something, not like.
But it takes a lot because like, you know, you guys might be all like this, but there's tons of places in this world, even back home in Virginia, you know, that aren't very accepting. A lot of people will smile in your face and say they're rooting for you, and then low down they're not. So,
or that's where it ends.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Right. And like that's the thing, you know. So like the fact that again you're really out there, you know, like trying to find people to be a part of your brand and friendship, whatever, and get this message out, like it's sick. Yeah. Again, like that's why I was like, Corey, you gotta hit up Tyler, dude. Yeah. Like, you know, again, and it's just like, you know, we're all homies at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. As big of a deal as it is, it's like sometimes it's like I don't focus on it because, like, you know, I think it'll naturally work itself out in like a small kind of sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you give off the vibes that you want around you, so the hate's not gonna really have a place to live. Yeah. You know, so especially if everybody in the town's on the same page. Yeah. So, and you can feel that vibe, man. Like.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. Yeah. And I hope that, you know, like, I hope that I just want to, like, I hate going and riding mountain bikes and it's just a bunch of white people all the time. That's so fucking boring.
The big thing, and like, we can sit here and bring up I mean, like the money side of things, I guess, in some areas. Like, there's obviously wealthy black people, but are they interested in the sport? They might not be. And that's okay. You know, I'm not interested in swimming. I don't want to go anywhere near water, so you won't find me near water, and that's fine. You know, I might wear your swim trunks to bed. I'm not going in the water, dude. You know, so like, I'm not a huge fan of water, and like again, you'd be hard pressed to sell me something that had to do with water. Some people just might not like it. Yeah. So, but I think getting the message out to the mass, and like, if you guys are like literally like out there helping, you know, telling people, it's gonna come regardless.
Yeah. Well, I love, and then there's like foundations like Grow and whatnot. Right. Like Elliott Jackson is like putting money in low income communities, and you know, Cody, when he was on, we were kind of talking about like barrier of entry is. We always talk about the barrier of entry in mountain bike is really high, and so it's like, you know. Tenet, we don't have the product that really caters to like lower income, like, you know, people trying to just get into mountain biking that don't have a ton of money. And, but I think there's ways, obviously, to kind of influence and kind of support those.
And again, those will come with time, growth, all that. You know, you'll be able to touch some, you know, another, maybe when I come out here something clicks and it's like, yo, let's launch this, like, you know,
well,
whatever.
I mean, one thing you had said that I think is something that is very relevant in just marketing in general is like being authentic in the marketing and just show, like you were saying, like you don't see people of color that are riding mountain bikes.
No. Put a mountain bike in their hand.
Let's change that, you know? And so like by having you on the team, like if I were to, and I'm not going to put goals in your mouth, but if I were to say, I would say like a goal would be to be fucking creating sick ass content. Yeah. And I want to support that. Yeah. You know, like, like getting some really cool content of yourself and getting it out there and like, let's do that. Yeah. You know?
And like, that's the thing too, because again, another thing that I've watched on repeat was Atmospheric River Rats. Thank you for that one. High five. Yeah. I've had many beers to that.
Shout out to those guys.
Shout out to everybody that was in that. Yeah. That is sick. And like, that is like the riding I'm here for. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, you're riding in that video go hand. They're like, you could literally take any Instagram clip of yours and place it right in that video and it would fit perfectly.
Because like, that's just the good old time. Man. Yeah. You know, like all skill levels, it doesn't matter. Let's just go shred, dude. Yeah. And rut lines are legit fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we've had too many beers and did that, and it was
there's a couple of people that live in this town who have a couple really like loose rut tracks, and they throw rut track parties, and then they're like bonfires and people slapping corners and stuff, and so we'll get you on one of those. Yeah.
I'm here for that, dude.
I personally haven't been to one yet, but it's definitely like pretty high on my list.
We'll go at the same time.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do it together, because that's, I mean, like, that it's so fun just going out there and ripping corner. It was funny because my second ride back, you know, I just doing like XC rides. My homies were like, dude, let's go find some stuff. So we ended up building like a little turn track for us. I was like starting to get loose, and I was like, all right, we should go. I'm feeling this too much. So yeah, you know, we booked it out of there. But those things, like, I love the bike control things. Like, feeling one with the bike is a big thing. Like, racing, street, mountain bike, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't want to feel like I'm riding my bike. You want to feel like you're just doing your thing, and then everything is just coming natural, second nature.
I feel like that's rut track riding, and you aren't really piloting. You're sort of like
you're just going.
You're just like letting the bike do its thing.
You've seen an F1 driver.
Yeah,
they're just doing this, dude. Yeah. Like, they know what input to put, and they're going like almost 200. So, like, it's kind of the same thing, you know, like, whatever I'm doing, like, certain people I watch ride, like, I love watching people, like, throw down big tricks. Obviously, the video game stuff is just, like, mind-blowing. Talus, insane. You know, we're just going to say he's insane, knock on wood. I'm not going to, but, dude, like, keep killing it. Just keep killing it. But, like, once you hit the ground a few times and, like, it's taken some time, you're just like, I know I could probably learn that, but I'm going to get broken off trying to get there.
Well, he's 19.
Yeah, I know.
You're 36.
But so, that's like, my problem, you know, because I feel like I'm ready to do it. And
no, I know. I have that. I struggle with that.
Dude, it's like, okay, I could get this. But like when I learned Euros, I learned it on accident. I hit like
which is your best trick, by the way.
It is. It really is. Yeah. That and tables, probably. Yeah. When I can get them clicked on the status. Yeah. I hit like a roller, and I was just kind of like scrubbing it, and my foot slipped off, and I was like, I just did a Euro. So I went back and kept doing it on purpose, and then I just did Euros for like a week straight, and then I was like, okay, I got Euros dialed. But so I mean, like, grand scheme of thing, but like my favorite riders aren't big trick throwers. They're stees and bike control. Bike control, like, next to none. It just when you make like that crazy steep or that hop into whatever look like I can just walk outside and go do it. Like, that is what you want. Yeah. And I even hate watching my own videos because I'm like, that looks like anybody can do it.
I've always, if you look back at my BMX history, I've got a lot of like good photos where I'm like, oh, that's stylish. Like, nice whip, table or whatever. But then I never took video. I never had people take video of me, or I never am like, oh, can you get this video clip of me? Because I'm like, I just hate it's like hearing your own voice.
Yes,
this doesn't it's the podcast is a little different. Like,
it is, honestly.
Your voice sounds like real nice.
It does. It actually sounds okay. They made a movie about my voice. Have you seen that? It's like I forget the name of it, but it's the dude. He was one of the guys that plays in Atlanta. I forget his name, but it was just like having a telephone voice, and then like he makes his. I think Danny Glover's in it too, but he makes his voice like a white guy voice. He's like, hi, like, I've had somebody ask me if I was multiple times when I used to sell cars. People would be like, oh, we thought you were white. And I was like, thanks. Now I'm going to hit you over the head with all this.
Yeah. So, now you're paying all the fees.
I liked you, and I knew you drove 3 hours, but now that 0.2 on your APR is going, whatever. So, but I would get that often. But it's like, I grew up in the suburbs around, I wouldn't even say like it has nothing to do with that, because like in my household, it was my mom, dad, my brother at the time when he lived with us. And I mean, just talk how I talk. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine.
I've gotten that for a while.
Yeah.
For years. Yeah. You had that. It was being the token black kid. That's kind of good at all the stuff people want to be good at. You know, you get that. You get that. You're the token black guy. I'll take it, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
it's all good. I don't mind it.
Well, it's fucking awesome having you in town visiting, and it's been great. I look forward to you potentially moving here.
Yeah,
I hope.
You shouldn't have said it.
Oh, damn it. Why? Did I jinx it?
No, because you were like, oh, dude, you should move here. And I was like, you know what? He's right.
Yeah. No, I said it on purpose.
Yeah.
I plant the seed in everybody's brain that I want to live here. I did it with Blake, and it worked.
I think
she just moved here.
Yeah, so. She did. She literally did. I think when I came here the first time, I was like, it's funny because I was like, I want to move there so bad. And then everybody was like, oh, I think they were more or less talking about Seattle, like, oh, it's dim all the time. It's, blah, blah, blah. It rains. And I did some hard Googling. I was like, Virginia gets the same amount of rain. Virginia is pretty much the same temperature as Bellingham. So it's like the things that people are like complaining about. I'm like, you deal with this in Virginia, but it just doesn't get as hot or it's not as humid.
Yeah.
I feel the humidity now.
Well, it's cold.
I
mean, there it is wet. There's wetness in the air, but that's for sure.
What do you call precipitation?
I guess it's not. I don't know. It's actually fairly dry. It's like cold dry right now. But yeah, when it get like the depths of winter. Like winter when it's raining and wet all the time, it's like it's just humid all the time for sure. Yeah,
and like because you can feel it in the air.
Humid in a sense of just like moisture in the air.
Yeah. I can feel that because Virginia is obviously it's more winter.
I just think Virginia is probably a lot colder, right? Like
and there's like no snow.
Yeah,
so it'll get like 20 or 15.
Yeah, and
but it's just
that doesn't
cold.
Really happen here.
Yeah, no, it's just like
this is like kind of like what you're dealing with right now is like is actually on the colder side of what we consider winter.
And that's when I'm like
it's like 30s is like pretty cold for Bellingham, but like it's usually like low 40s is like kind of winter here.
And I'll take that.
Yeah,
I mean Virginia, I don't know. The past few years, I've been able to ride year round, and I do snowboard, so we're good.
Oh yeah,
I just have been riding year round.
Baker's incredible. Yeah. You should have brought your snowboarding gear and then try to get to the mountain before.
Yeah. Well, plus Mom's is here. I wanted to show her around.
Yeah.
She's been having a really good time hanging out. So
that's awesome.
It's been sick. Yeah. She likes it. Yeah. She just doesn't like the cold.
Yeah.
She's a Floridian now.
All right, well, Elliott, thank you for coming on. My goal in the future is to start doing like I'm gonna get through a bunch of guests, and then I want to eventually bring people back on to touch back in and see how things are going. Absolutely. Or I really want to do it would be really fun to do like a live episode. Dude. And have people that have already been on back on again on a live episode and just like kind of shoot the shit and read comments and answer questions and shit like that. I think that's like something that I really want to do. So I'll get you back on there. So
I'm here for the good times, whatever that entails.
Yeah. Whenever you move back or come to visit again, we'll get you back on. Yeah. But sure. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Or 2 weeks from now. I don't ever know how to sign this off. So just, Doug, hit the metal button.